So today we are at Mongolian Mining Week 2023 and it's day 4 and CEO of Ayutthaya, Ms. D, is joining us here. Thanks for coming. So you just introduced Ayutthaya's new strategy, and why is it now? Why is it important?
It's a really good question. Why do you change strategy, right?
Yeah.
And I think for Ayutthaya, the timing was absolutely right. We started the underground mine in March of this year. That's a phenomenal milestone for a large underground business. And that was a pivotal point for the business. So we moved, in effect, from a surface mine and project to an integrated copper business. So that's a very different positioning. We had the first 10 years behind us, and now we need to map what the next 10 years look like. So the time was absolutely right for a refreshed look at our strategy. We kept what made sense, but we moved in areas where we thought we needed to be more aspirational.
Mm-hmm. So your strategy is based on 4 pillars. So people, planet, partnership, profit. So I found one thing very interesting is making Ayutthaya where multiple generations are proud to work. I'm sure that it's already multiple generations work at Ayutthaya, but do you see any generational difference? I'm thinking like maybe young Mongolians are very different to work with.
Look, our workforce average age is around 28. So we have a really young workforce, and that's average. So you can imagine there will be much younger people and older people in the workforce as well. And as we went through the strategy refresh, what was abundantly clear to us is that we have incredible talent in the business. We have passion, dedication, energy. I wouldn't say that is purely a trait of young people, but we have that in spades at Ayutthaya. So for that reason, people is one of our 3 competitive advantages. The other being our ore body, which is phenomenal, and the third being strong partnerships, new and the ones we need to build. So we do need to think differently about our employee value proposition in a younger workforce. What motivates younger people is different. Work-life balance is important. We've introduced parental leave, for example, and with that, it's not just the mothers, but the fathers that have the opportunity to take time off. Childcare facilities and having access to those are important. Learning opportunities, secondments to other countries. So I think, in short, yes, it takes a very different way of thinking and doing, and also where we do have multiple generations working at Ayutthaya. I'm hoping the same will happen going forward. But we also need to realize that there's a larger drive for seeing other parts of the world, getting knowledge in other companies, and then hopefully coming back to Mongolia and Ayutthaya.
Okay, I see. So another pillar is partnership. And I heard a lot about the mining companies talking about the difficulties to create a local partnership. I know Ayutthaya has contributed to the local economy, especially Umngo province, since it started. But going forward with this new strategy, should we expect different things, or is there any other plan?
Yeah, so with the new strategy, we are expanding our definition of partnership to the whole of Mongolia and even beyond. So to make a success of what is very challenging aspirations for us, and our key performance indicators is next level, we have made the decision that we need to look outside of our boundary and the fence of the mine site. So we need to think about partnerships here in Ulaanbaatar, partnerships not just in Hamburg or Dahlanzatgat, but broader partnerships and the role we play in Mongolia. So you will see more of that coming through. I also think the challenges we face and the global nature of those challenges, for example, climate change, means that we need to think bigger around who is the best entity to partner with, whether local or whether international. And I also don't think partnerships are one-on-one. It could be conglomerates of partnerships. So we've got very strong partnerships at the moment. Our shareholders and having a government of Mongolia, Rio Tinto shareholding is an incredibly important partnership for us, but we believe we need to do more.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of climate change, world is changing. is transition to green energy, right? And one of your goals is decarbonizing your copper business. But how do you do that?
So we know that copper is integral to decarbonization and electrifying the world. We expect global demand for copper to double over the next decade. So we are placed right at the juncture of playing a critical role in electrifying the world. But that means there's even a bigger onus on us as a copper business to have our own house in order. So we have a pathway to zero already. So we have mapped out what it would take to get to carbon neutrality in 2050. We have interim steps, so we have challenging targets for 2030 and steps leading up to that. So key for us is going to be to have access to renewable electricity to the mine site. That's where most of our power is used, and that we cannot do on our own. This is where partnership becomes key, is looking at what are the partnerships we need to have in place to support that ambitious goal. Bottom line is the technology exists. We need to do the work. We need to understand the implications. We need to honor our existing commitments alongside our decarbonization journey.
So I think all Mongolians expect Ayatollah to make much more profit since underground mining is completed, right? So how are the financial or production is looking in the like next 5 years?
So firstly, I need to explain that production there's a ramp up of production. It's not an on and off switch on the underground mine. So this year, the underground contributes about 10% of the ore going through our concentrator, but it is 3 times more copper grade. So even though it's 10%, it does add more copper. Next year, that'll increase to about 40%. And we will be tripling copper production between 2028 and 2036. So we'll be ramping up from the current 170,000, I'm rounding up, tons per year to 500,000 tons per year on average. So that's tripling effectively what we will be producing. And that does mean that with that comes generating more revenue. We are hoping the copper price holds and everything points in that direction, and it will generate more free cash flow for the business. So we are on a good pathway. We need to make sure that we maintain our license to operate. That is key for us to access the copper and to produce the revenue and to share the value with this incredible country and both our shareholders.
So it's my last question. So the government of Mongolia and Ayatollah finally reached agreement earlier this year. Now, so you launched underground mining. It seems like everything is going fine with Ayatollah, but is there any big challenge you're facing right now, or maybe in the future?
I think the reset last year, the start of underground production this year, even the new strategy, because the strategy is based on Vision 2050 and the Rio Tinto strategy. So in effect, the Oyu Tolgoi strategy brings our shareholders together. For me, that gives us certainty as a business in terms of what we want to achieve and how it supports both our shareholders' ambitions. We've not had that before. So that, to me, the fact that we could get to this point tells me that the relationship is in a much stronger position. In reality, any relationship needs work. And in any relationship, we need to work together through challenges. I am expecting challenges to always be there. I'm expecting challenges to always be part of the shareholder relationship. But I do think that we have the platforms to work through it. I think we've got a track record that was bumpy, but we worked through it. So we have proven that the ability exists to do that. And it's building on that going forward that gives us as the business, as Oyu Tolgoi, I think the faith that the future looks bright and that there's a lot more growth ahead of us.
Okay, thanks for the intro.
Thank you very much, Baishla.